Hey guys, it's Melissa with Mesquite Farm, and today we're going to work on the second or third part of the soap making class where we're going to be talking about labeling and marketing. So the first thing we're going to get to is the labeling portion of this. And when you're going to do labeling, there's some things that you need to know. There are some requirements for your labels. And the first thing that you should know is that it must be real soap, which I found was really interesting as I was doing this research because people label things soap that aren't actually soap in the past, but that's neither here nor there. When they say it must be soap, that means that it must be made primarily of oil and lye. And soap labeling falls under the jurisdiction of the Consumer Product Safety Commission, and they have this part's a little confusing. Several different places say different things. So what I've put together here on this list is the bare minimum that I would put on something, on a soap product that I was making, just to make sure that you're covered. So the label requires the word soap on it. It also must have the net weight of the product, and you need to have the name and address of your business on the label. Okay, so those are your requirements. I think we're going to try to put a little, maybe over here or something that shows those on it. I don't know yet. We'll get there. But that's it. That's all you have to put on your soap label, right? But here's the thing. Most customers are going to want to know what's in your product. That's why they're buying your product, because they know that what's in it. So personally, I would suggest that you also include a list of ingredients. If you're going to do that, there's actually two ways of doing it. There's the list of ingredients before saponification, or the list of ingredients after saponification, okay? So for example, in our soap recipe, we use olive oil, coconut oil, shea butter, water, sodium hydroxide or lye, and then the sandalwood essential oil, right? So, and on the label that I made, that's how I chose to list it. And it's in order of the amount of ingredients. So you start with the ingredient that's the most and then work your way down. The other way to do it is to list it after it's saponified. Okay, so you could put saponified olive oil, saponified coconut oil, or you could put saponified coconut and olive oil on there, because for some reason, some people don't like to put sodium hydroxide on their label or lye because they feel like that's, it kind of has a negative connotation. But the reality is that's how you make soap. So I feel like it's kind of an education thing, or it's just a personal preference, but you have to, you still want to do it in the order of the amount of the ingredient, and you can do it one of two ways. You can either do it before it was saponified or after it was saponified when you're listing the ingredients on the label. So let's talk about how to label, not how to, but labeling ideas. I have this is the soap that we made in the last videos. I never did get a chance to go back and make taller soaps, so I figured, well, I'll just put something together here for the size that we ended up with and see what happens. And so frankly, I just threw this together in a few minutes. Not a lot of thought. You can spend a lot of time and a lot of money on labels if you choose to. I really think it depends on how far you're going. Maybe in the beginning, just start off real simple. For this particular example, is just a piece of ribbon, a burlap ribbon that I put around it. And then on the front, I made the label with our logo and the name of the soap and then its weight. I can see now that I forgot to put the address on here, but you would want to put that as well. And then on the back, I just did a smaller circle label with the ingredients on it. And that's it. Really simple. Not the cutest thing, but I could certainly be okay with putting that on a table at a farmer's market. You can go much more extravagant. Some people wrap their soaps in cellophane and then put a sticker on top of that, and get more detailed and have graphic designs on their soap, those sorts of things. I mean, you can go all out. I have a magazine here that has some super creative labeling ideas and stuff like that in there. You can get them printed online, or you can print them yourself. It's entirely up to you and what you want to do. I would suggest you could really end up in a rabbit hole trying to make those decisions, but you can just start Googling and get some ideas for what you want. all of our products that we have include our logo at the top. So that was kind of a theme, it's a branding thing that I wanted to continue on with this product. So yeah, go crazy. The world is your oyster. You can do whatever you want with in terms of how it looks. Some people just do the paper wrap around. Some people do the same sort of thing where it's the ribbon with those, a fancy label on it. These are just the Avery labels, sticky labels that I just put together for that. It doesn't have to be super fancy. I think especially when you're starting off, you don't want to go spend a bunch of money on labels until you get to that point and you're selling that much. Any questions?
Nope.
No? Okay. So let's, I think I was really surprised when when we first started making soap, it was just for us, and it became a product that we really liked and we started sharing it, and then other people started liking it. It's like, oh, hey, wait, we have a potential revenue stream here. So I hadn't really sat down and thought about labeling like this until recently, as a matter of fact. So I was really surprised at how little is required in terms of labeling. I figured it was going to be much more detailed, kind of like all the requirements that you have to have for like eggs or, beef, that sort of thing. And it's really not, which also seems a little scary to me because then people might, put some things in there and not be completely honest about it. I feel like that's not so great, but that's not the point of this discussion. But yeah, it's really simple, not a lot of requirements. I'm pleasantly surprised. So let's move on to marketing.
Was that a question?
It is, because honestly, I don't like talking about marketing, which is so funny.
It's what you do for a living.
Mm-hmm. I'm like the IT guy or like the mechanic with all the broken down cars in his yard. Like, I do it all day at work. I don't want to do it after work. Okay, so we're going to talk about this from a perspective of an additional revenue stream, right? So let's assume you've already got some other products up in that you're selling. For example, we have beef and we have eggs and we have chicken, right? So we're just adding, quite frankly, this would be like, we made some soap, we've got some extras, we're going to put it on our shopping cart for people to buy if they want it, right? But we want to get the word out there about this product. So these are just some ideas that we were sitting down coming up with that we wanted to share with you guys as ideas for marketing, getting your product out there into the world. Obviously, having really nice labeling helps. It's an eye catcher, but you've got to get people to your table or to your shopping cart to catch their eye, right? So let's talk about... I'm sorry. I want to touch back on this as part of the marketing, right? That's also involved in your label creation, right? When I mentioned that we always put our logo at the top of our things, that's creating our brand. That's part of your marketing. That's something that you're always thinking about when you're developing product, because that's who you are as your farm, right? And putting the ingredients on your label, that's you, and talking about your commitment to your customer and the transparency that you have with your customer and letting them know that you're not trying to hide anything from them, right? That's part of your brand too. So let's talk about some ideas, getting your product out there. So the most obvious one that everybody uses is social media, which is great, right? I can post out there, hey, look, buy my soap. It's great, right? But to me, that's not as powerful as testimonials. Right. So for me, what I would want to do is get this product in the hands of people that are going to be willing to talk about it. Right. So obviously promote it on your socials. That's totally fine. Add it to your product line in your shopping cart, whatever. If you're using Barn to Door, easily add it to your inventory. If you have a shopping cart, you're handling your site separately on a Squarespace or whatnot. Add it there, get it there so that the customers can get to it easily. Right. But create the space for testimonials, right? Send samples to somebody you know is really active on social media that they'd be willing to share their experience with your soap, right? You could add little samples like we talked about in the previous video. I don't know if you remember, but I talked about cutting this in half and giving it out as a sample. So if I were going to do that, cut it in half, put a little label on it, and then put it in with any product orders when we do our beef deliveries. I'd be like, hey, we just tossed a sample of our soap in there for you to try out. Let us know what you think of it. If you really like it, please share it to social media. We'd love it. That sort of thing, right? It's not, especially with this particular batch, it was kind of an oops because it's really short. That actually becomes a really good thing because I can give these out as samples to customers, and that's great. And then they can share their experience about that, right? Another idea that we came up with was to find a local CSA, right? And contact them and say, hey, wondering if I could put samples in there, or even can I be added to your product sheet, right? So, I'm so sorry. Added to your product sheet so that customers can order my soap directly. I can bring you a bunch and you can just put it in your CSA boxes, or you can call me when you have all your orders confirmed and I can bring it up to you or whatnot. But you could, again, start with the little samples and get them out there. The whole idea with soap is getting it out there. Kind of the same thing with beef. You don't know my beef's really good. I mean, I could tell you that, but until you try it, you're not going to know how great it is. But it's great. But it's the same kind of thing. You've got to get it in people's hands. You've got to get them using it. So the other thing that we came up with, and I think this is the last one we have and we'll be done and I'll stop talking, was doing some sort of a contest or a giveaway, right? So let's think. What kind of contest could you do? Maybe put the soap on there on your website, pick a color or something, be like, can you guess what scent this is, right? And if somebody guesses right, then they get a product. It's something as simple like that. It doesn't have to be complicated, just a simple little giveaway, or, 10th person to comment on this post gets a bar of soap or whatnot. Really just trying to get it out there in people's hands so that they can talk about it. Yeah, sorry, I keep saying a lot, but I think that's all that I have for this conversation, unless, Doug, was there anything you wanted to add or ask? Did I miss anything?
Nope. I think you covered it.
Okay, great. Well, if you have any questions, let us know. We'll talk to you later. Bye.